Well, good evening and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news. We're broadcasting live and then available on demand. And we're available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, and of course, YouTube and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Tuesday, November 29th, 2022, and we are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson, and this evening we bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in the LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit media platform in the television and radio model of PBS and NPR, but designed for our LGBTQ plus community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 37 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Well, let's welcome anchor Paul Thomas. He is currently the chairman of the LGBTQ plus advisory committee to the city of Miami Beach, a board member of Miami Beach Pride, on the board of directors for the Point Foundation and the endorsement committee for SAVE. He has over 30 years of experience in the healthcare and education fields, specializing in AIDS, HIV treatments, as well as an activist advocate for marginalized communities. Locally, he works with many of our nonprofits and FQHCs, providing a wide range of services. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here again today. And let's welcome anchor Jeff Oliverio. Jeff is a founder and treasurer of the Hollywood LGBTQ Plus Council, a unique community civic organization in Greater Hollywood. The council will be hosting the second annual My Hollywood Pride on January 29th, 2023. He is also the co-chair for the 2023 National LGBTQ Task Force GALA. Last GALA was amazing. The GALA, along with its sister event, Winter Party Festival, has given back more than $3.3 million to local LGBTQ community organizations. Good evening, Jeff.
Good evening and happy Giving Tuesday. Make sure you make a donation to your favorite LGBTQ plus community organization. They need your support, and many of them are being doubled today. So now let's welcome anchor Dan Rios. He is the director of the LGBTQ plus marketing for the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, the official destination marketing organization for Greater Miami and Miami Beach, joining their marketing and tourism division in 2002. Dan is considered one of America's top experts on LGBTQ plus travel and tourism. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here. Hello, everyone. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 8 books, including his latest, Peer of Muses, an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ plus and mainstream publications and websites. His movie review column called Screensaver can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco's Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Good evening, y'all. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Tuesday, November 29th, 2022. And to echo what Jeff said, it is National Giving Day, also known as #GivingTuesday. Please do find a charity worthy of your finances, any kind of gift you can give, and do give.
Absolutely. Well, let's begin the broadcast by queering up the worldview. India will consider legalizing same-sex marriage.
India's Supreme Court has recently expanded the definition of a family. It recently ruled that, quote, familial relationships may take the form of domestic, unmarried partnerships or queer relationships, unquote. And it added that they are equally deserving of the benefits available under social welfare legislation. Many LGBTQ activists in India see this as progress in the gradual relaxation of India's laws. In 2018, a big step came when the Supreme Court decriminalized gay sex. Petitions have recently been put forward in an effort to get same-sex marriage legally recognized in India. And activists are hopeful that the latest ruling from the Supreme Court on the definition of a family could signal a move towards legalizing same-sex marriage.
Well, 4 years after India's Supreme Court scrapped a law criminalizing gay sex, it has agreed to hear petitions seeking legal recognition of same-sex marriages, raising hopes of securing another significant right for the country's LGBTQ plus community. One of the two petitioners is a gay couple based in Hyderabad, who held a commitment ceremony last December to cement their nearly decade-long relationship. Another couple based in Delhi said they have been in a relationship for 17 years and have also petitioned the top court for recognition of gay marriages. A bench led by Chief Justice D.Y. Chadrajud on Friday asked the government to file its response within a month. The justice, who took over as Chief Justice in November, is known for a string of progressive judgments on LGBTQ+ and women's rights. In 2018, he was part of a 5-judge bench that delivered the landmark judgment setting aside the colonial-era law criminalizing gay sex, calling it indefensible. It remains to be seen what stance the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist party, whose support base includes many Hindus, takes on the sensitive issue of legalizing gay marriages. Last year, the government told the Delhi High Court that marriage necessarily depends upon age-old customs, and the same-sex marriages would cause complete havoc with the delicate balance of personal laws in the country. Well, it's great news. I'm also asking production to help Paul with the teleprompter. This is big news in India because the Asian across Asia in general, LGBT, along with Africa, is the most difficult in terms of how LGBT rights, especially marriage, are processed. So this is really big news that they're not going to, they're going to go the same route that the United States did, which is we're not going to push it to a public vote. We're going to allow the courts to make the decision to do it. And so that's big positive news.
It is. It's incredible and it's commendable that this is taking place in India. Meanwhile, we're all sort of on pins and needles waiting patiently for the passage of the imperfect Respect for Marriage Act. So it's nice to hear that things are moving well in other places too.
Absolutely, but in pins and needles over there as well with this news, I think it's really important as an inspiration to other Asian countries. As you were saying, there's a lot of population over there and a lot of thinking that differs from ours, and I think this will be a great example to move them forward.
There are other countries that are not too far from India. Let me try to see. Oh, there's Qatar. Right.
I'm just waiting for the newest gay Bollywood romantic comedy to come out. It'll be fabulous. Yes. It'll be just fabulous.
The dance numbers,
Dance numbers
will be amazing.
Watch out, Bollywood. Coming for you.
I'm excited for India. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I feel like in America, we sometimes project a lot of things onto these countries that isn't really true. Meanwhile, we're struggling right now today, wondering what are they going to decide, here in America. We should,
don't you wonder if India might beat us too?
What I mean? That's what I mean. It's like
shocking.
Shocking. We like to call them names like third world countries and all these things, and it's like, well,
that's exactly right.
Is it going?
Well, let's queer up hotspots. Here is power ranking of all RuPaul's Drag Race winners based on bottom placements. There's no straightforward blueprint for a queen to win RuPaul's Drag Race. We've seen queens snatch the crown with several Maxi Challenge wins, as well as queens who were named America's Next Drag Superstar after just winning a single challenge. Fans can always expect the unexpected from RuPaul and her show. With that in mind, here are the winners of Drag Race who have fallen to the bottom but have won eventually. The current reigning winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, Season 14 champion Willow Pill, appears in last place in this ranking. Besides Pill, Simone is the only other Drag Race winner so far who has won a season after landing in the bottom twice. Evie Oddly of Season 11 won only one Maxi Challenge in the season. Jinx Monsoon, who won 2 Maxi Challenges in Season 5, Bibi Zahara Benet of Season 1 also had to face one lip sync for your life. Apart from the above, Jada Essence of Season 12, Bob the Drag Queen of Season 8, Raja of Season 3, and Sharon Needles of Season 4 have been to bottom 2. But there are also queens like Sasha Velour of Season 9 or Violet Chachki of Season 7 who never faced the bottom 2. If anyone can read that many queen names in 30 seconds, be our guest to come on the show next week.
You know, it's interesting to me. This is RuPaul fandom craziness in terms of micro-analyzing. Now, having a long association with RuPaul's Drag Race and the cruises, etc., I had hundreds and hundreds of friends that would absolutely digest every statistical model of trying to prove this was the best RuPaul queen ever. In this model, they look at who was in the bottom and how many times you were in the bottom, but you still went on to win, and that's how they analyze it. The two things that I think are interesting in this kind of very unscientific study is the two people were at the opposite ends of the spectrum. One that was never in the bottom was the drag queen formerly known as Tyra Sanchez, and is considered number 2 in all time of all of the winners that were winners that weren't in the bottom. And the other one, of course, is Bianca Del Rio. And Bianca Del Rio is considered won the most Maxi Challenges and was never in the bottom 2, and as a result is considered the all-time champion, besides getting into All-Stars, and then let's talk about All-Stars, and then blah, 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 blah. But it's interesting.
I've been watching a lot of Paramount Plus, which features RuPaul's Drag Race, and but I'm a big fan of the Challenge, which has all the reality contestants from Big Brother, Real World, Road Rules, and they compete in challenges. I think that RuPaul should consider throwing some queens into the challenge because it is fascinating, and I think it would be very interesting to see how they fare.
Yeah. You know, and I completely agree. I haven't heard anybody say that. That's
it would be
a really
fabulous.
Interesting observation. It kind of happened, and it kind of just completed, and it's Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
It just did that.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not a spoiler alert. Do not send me a text or tweet me that I've spoiled it for you because it was last week. You had a week to do it. She made the finals and she got 4th, and which is
amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's absolutely amazing.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around gays and spreadsheets. Like, who did this? And what's all this talk about bottoms anyway? What was that about? Good Lord.
Is that what you heard in this story?
That's
Greg?
the only thing that stood out.
Tops and bottoms, that's all you heard?
Yeah, well, I think that there's something to be said about their versatility, no?
Child, you were waiting through that. That one in. I heard Shangela yell in Los Angeles, hallelujah, hallelujah. Dan Rios did that joke.
I do like Bob the Drag Queen. I know that one.
Yeah. He wasn't asking gay.
Wait, are you wanting to be petted because you know a drag queen? No, Paul.
Listen.
No.
I mean, I thought it was something.
No, it really wasn't. It was nothing.
Bob, call me up.
All right.
So now let's, that was so much fun. Queer up religion, because this is not fun. More than 20 religious groups call on Senate to pass Same-Sex Marriage Act. Over a dozen religious rights groups urged the Senate on Monday to codify federal protections for same-sex and interracial marriage, calling the freedom to marry whom one loves, a matter of human dignity. The letter, addressed to Senators Tammy Baldwin, Democrat of Wisconsin, and Susan Collins, Republican of Maine, comes after senators announced a bipartisan amendment to strengthen religious liberty protections in the Respect for Marriage Act. The letter says, quote, "Within our communities, we approach matters of marriage, family, and identity differently. This bill recognizes this diversity of belief while ensuring that same-sex and interracial couples are treated with equal respect by federal and state governments. The amendment protects the right to believe as we choose while leaving intact the core mission of the legislation to respect marriages. The freedom to marry who one loves is a matter of human dignity and is supported by a majority of almost every major religious tradition in the United States," end quote. The bill cleared a major procedural hurdle in the Senate earlier this month after garnering enough support from Senate Republicans. Majorities of most major religious groups back same-sex marriage, according to a March poll by the Public Religion Research Institute. That includes 83% of Jewish Americans, over 70% of Catholics and Protestants, and more than 50% of Muslims. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has also notably expressed support for the bill. And, you know, I'm happy. I'm just like, are we really debating freedom, right? This is really about freedom. When they talk about human dignity and freedom to love who you want to love and marry who you want to marry, the idea that this can be debated by other people, right, affecting my life and your life.
Put to a vote.
Put to a vote, argued about, that some religion, I don't even know what this Latter-day Saints thing is, can come in and say, my marriage doesn't count anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like, what is going on? Like,
you know, we should say contextually to that point, the Senate is voting while we're doing this broadcast. The Senate is voting right now. There is not a conclusion yet to the vote. If it happens in the next few minutes during the broadcast, we will announce it here. It is generally, we're kind of on pins and needles, but we generally believe it is going to pass. The one thing that I think is important beyond the religious support, the statistics there that you just give are really important. Religious liberty is going to be the topic in 2023 for LGBT. It's going to be religious liberty because it's going to be generated out of the Supreme Court, and people like Clarence Thomas is going to make it a focal point.
But what happened to separation of church and state? I don't care about your religion.
Yeah,
and I don't care what your religion thinks about my life or my marriage.
Yeah.
Like, that's to be personal. That shouldn't be to put to a vote.
I completely agree with you, but the statistics are indicating that the majority of Americans agree with you. But that's not what is at play here. We're talking about a minority percentage of very radical religious zealot that are saying, I want to manage your life, and I don't want your life to...
Well, I think we're doing the fighting correctly then, because separation of church and state is in the Constitution, is it not?
Yes, but you have to have a majority of the Supreme Court rule that way.
Right.
And that's why 2023...
But they have to follow the Constitution.
They interpret the Constitution.
So I don't care about your religion.
The 6-3 supermajority that they have likely, very likely, is not going to come to that conclusion. And that's the only reason I make this point. I hope that Respect for Marriage passes, and for clarification of our viewers that might be confused, this is not the Equality Act. We need the Equality Act also. We're not going to get the Equality Act in any short-term basis. We need the Equality Act passed. This does not do it. But what this does do in the balance of codifying is it is a block to Clarence Thomas and the Supreme Court to saying we can reverse his claim about reversing marriage. This will stop that.
It won't stop that. It'll send it back to the states We live in Florida. We will not have marriages. It doesn't stop anything. It doesn't stop anything.
If it's a federal protection.
It's a federal protection, meaning wherever
We supersede.
it would supersede any state's ability to not have marriage.
If they don't water it down. So like what I was just showing David is that what they're trying to water down in order to get the Republican votes is that everything gets pushed back to the states, that the Supreme Court can overturn it, and that it will be left up to the states, in which case we live in Florida, right? And so I have to go back again to, why is somebody's religion in my secular personal life? Right. We need to go back to that, and we need to make sure that you can practice whatever religion you want.
If we're going
but you
to get
cannot
that,
force that on other citizens in America.
I don't disagree with you, but if we're going to get that, then we can't lose Miami-Dade County. We have to win elections. We have to win the Senate seats.
We're not going to be married in this state. People keep taking this as a joke. People have to show up and vote, and they have to vote the right way, and they have to stop playing these games. They're dehumanizing us.
Well,
to our face.
I think it's really important to realize that the impetus of the story is, again, the progress we're making, and although it's messy at best, very messy, is that the arc of what's happening is moving forward. And so, I saw last night Rachel Maddow showed some clips of this bigot racist that Donald Trump had dinner with, and the reason they're talking about fascism is because they don't want to have votes or a Supreme Court. They want to have fascist rule that outlaws gay, outlaws abortion, outlaws interracial marriage. So although this is messy, there is something even messier on the other side. So I think we need to realize the progress that's actually happening, and realize that it's a step. Is it the end all be all, the Equality Act, and all the other things have to come behind that?
I think it really shows the movement that you're saying. It's a movement toward the acceptance by people that have generally been very against it. Right. I mean, those numbers that you shared were pretty impressive. I mean, I was impressed by that. I didn't think they were so high.
And the Republicans support of this bill is not because their heart is opening up wide. It's because they see those numbers of their religious backers who all, if you're Catholic or Jewish or a Mormon, and you have an LGBTQ member in your family. It's a really good point,
because Boebert in Colorado is an example of it. She has been, after Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, who is gone, thankfully, but she's been basically the #2 worst voice in Congress against LGBT. She has to now return to Congress, moderating herself somewhat, because out of 250,000 votes, she wins by 500. You can't continue to espouse such extremism and hope automatically you're going to win. And her race proves, wait, if you're an election denier, if you're anti this and anti that, and just batshit crazy, there's a very good chance, even in a Republican district, you will lose.
Yeah, it works against.
I think we have to remember our history. We had that early story, and we have a story coming up. We were talking about Dr. Fauci. One thing we didn't do 30 years ago is we didn't back down, and we didn't take half. Right? And I think nowadays we are too quick to get ready to celebrate, and we're not getting anything. We're not getting our rights. We're not getting what we need. We're not getting what we deserve as human beings in America, paying taxes, working. I should have full rights. It's not up to you. This is not a debate, and I think we need to not think about stopping or celebrating or cheering until we get the exactly, because we do that too quick, and then we end up sliding back even farther. I don't care about this thing that's up right now today. We need the Equality Act, period. This is not debatable. We need separation of church and state, period. You can pray to whoever you want in your home, in your place of church. That has nothing to do with my life. I'm not asking for your permission anymore. We're demanding our rights. And I think we have to stop playing these games, because we're losing this battle, guys. We're losing it. Playing nice. And playing, we'll wait till next session. We're not waiting till I came up in the ACT UP days. People are dying now, today. I don't have next session. I need the help now, today. I'm not leaving the building until we get the help today. I think we might need to make a trip to the Supreme Court and say, enough of this game. You don't get to play with our lives, debate our lives, debate the amount of freedom we get, debate the amount of dignity we get. Hey, this is not up for debate. I'm a full human like you are in this country. We have to stop playing there. I'm tired. I've had enough.
Okay, and let's queer up sports. World Cup match protester runs on field with rainbow flag. A protester holding a rainbow flag and wearing a Superman t-shirt with messages supporting Ukraine and Iranian women ran onto the pitch Monday during a match between Portugal and Uruguay at the FIFA World Cup 2022. It is the latest act of defiance against the host nation of Qatar, which has faced criticism for human rights abuses, especially violence and discrimination against LGBTQ+ people. He was ushered away through a tunnel, and it wasn't immediately clear if he faced any charges or had been detained by police. It was not the first and only protest. Players and nations have used the world stage to speak out against their own countries and the host nation of Qatar, which has been criticized for human rights abuses. A Human Rights Watch report published ahead of the World Cup documented 6 cases of severe and repeated beatings and 5 cases of sexual harassment involving LGBTQ people in police custody between 2019 and 2022 in Qatar. Qatari officials have denied the allegations. FIFA threatened teams with sporting sanctions with players wore rainbow One Love armbands in a show of inclusion and anti-discrimination. 7 European World Cup teams have abandoned plans to wear the rainbow One Love armbands after the threats. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're in tourism.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, this...
You want to go to Qatar? I'm just dying to go to Qatar, right?
Yeah. No, all I can say is, it's shocking that this, we're hosting FIFA, next time, and the regulations, and maybe they've learned from this experience, but all I can say is that Qatar wrote them one hell of a check to be able to
imagine
to,
how much money they have spent.
Yeah.
How many bribes they? Oh wait,
it's FIFA.
Well, you have to wonder. The guy was escorted off the field. Where is he now?
Right.
I want to know where he is right now. And by the way, protesters running onto sports ball fields, waving rainbow flags and draped in rainbow accessories. That sounds like a sport I could get behind.
yes.
No, the only reason that we should even be there, I mean, the American team, right, is if more of that happens. Because otherwise, we don't belong in Qatar. Like, we as Americans do not belong in that country. If we're I don't know what we are anymore. Are we the land of the free?
I do agree, though. I think that representation and being there and spreading what is, essentially our version of democracy, whether as messy as it may be, is a statement. And I think that our eyeballs on this FIFA World Cup, for whether you're a sports fan or you're a human rights activist, is bringing attention to it. So I think that's a good thing.
I hope this guy gets an award, maybe.
It's just these are brave people. This is not something to be messing with, and to be doing it like that. They really. I mean, my heart goes out to them, and
clearly our panel of anchors tonight at Queer News Tonight is definitely queer, because we don't even take the opportunity in talking about this of even celebrating that the United States won today, because we care so little about what's going on in the FIFA World Cup.
Yep,
is that a gay thing, or is that?
And they beat Iran.
Oh wow!
Let's be happy about that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Sorry to our Iranian LGBTQ.
yeah,
We are.
the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Are hosting FIFA.
So
And Miami will be hosting.
And Miami's a host city.
And Miami's the host city of FIFA. What kind of check was written?
Well, and you have to wonder with our governor, who might be president at the time. Wait, could we be Qatar? You have to wonder.
Okay, and now on to happier things. We're going to queer up drag culture. Florida House Speaker causes criticism over drag show comments and Colorado shooting. Amid a speech previewing Florida's next slate of legislative priorities was a frequent conservative criticism about what children learn in school. Representative Paul Renner, a Palm Coast Republican, was sworn in Tuesday as the next Speaker of the Florida House. He said, quote, ideologues have pushed indoctrination at the expense of education. They spend more time defending drag queen story time than actually promoting phonics and the science of reading. In this election, moms and dads sent a clear message to these ideologues. Our children are not your social experiment. End quote. To some House Democrats and LGBTQ plus advocates, those remarks set a troubling tone for next year's legislative session, set to begin March 7th, particularly because they came on Tuesday, just days after a shooting at a queer nightclub in Colorado that killed 5 people, terrifying gay and transgender Americans in a year that has already seen an unprecedented volume of policies and rhetoric targeting them. Representative Anna Escamani, Democrat from Orlando, echoed concerns from advocates across the country who say this year's explosion of anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric has fueled threats and violence toward the queer community. Colorado authorities are investigating the November 19th shooting at Club Q as a hate crime. She added that Renner's social experiment language is commonly used in conservative transphobic spaces, and that his attempt to pit drag events against education was inaccurate. Speaking of social experiments, what's up with his hair? What's up with Ms. Renner's hair, first of all? Second of all, he's just another hate monger spouting the same lies about indoctrination. You know who indoctrinates? Republicans.
And couldn't he use a good drag queen to work on some of that image?
Yeah. Beat his face, yeah.
What did he mean about the election? He said this election they proved this. Does he mean this past election?
He's talking about
with the
Florida.
with the redistricted map that was deemed unconstitutional by a judge that they used anyway to just give themselves seats that had. Is that what he's talking about?
Think that
As
is
if
what
people voted for
the loss of Carlos Guillermo Smith is there. It's clearly clear that the gerrymandering took place. That district moved from +9 Biden to +3 Trump from just 2 years ago. And as a result, he lost a super close election to somebody who has never run and to a Republican Party that spent $1.5 million in that House race. $1.5 million. Why would they do that? Because they wanted to make Carlos Guillermo Smith the tip of the sword of going, we'll show you, and that was the end result.
Well, I mean, they're playing their hand heavy on this. First of all, not every voter in Florida is a mother and father. As a parent, I didn't vote for this, of course. And the second thing is, have you seen any Republicans read to kids? Oh, the last one was, I think, George Bush. So let's see how that worked out. But you know, drag queen story time is something that I think is taking on a life of its own. I'm happy to report that at Hollywood Pride this year, we're going to bring back drag queen story time for our youth zone featuring Misty Eyes, because it was one of the signature pieces that parents and families loved at our event, and we're thrilled to bring it back. So
can I
take
just,
that, Florida legislature.
Yeah, can we just point out real quick too that public school, education in public school is more than just the phonics and more than just 1 + 1 = 2. And a lot of what happens in public schools, you get exposed to things that are different than what you know in your home. And that you learn to get along with other people. This is not an experiment. This is to make real good citizens.
Future citizens, yes.
And Republicans have controlled the government in Florida for how many years? And are we the top ranked education state in the country? We're not. So who are they blaming on the teaching of phonics and math?
If anything, one example of how insidious this is, one of the top public universities in America, the University of Florida, rated number 5 in America, puts the crazy former radical right Republican senator in as president, the president of the University of Florida, to the point where all of the professors and the university staff at the University of Florida, as one of the top schools in America, vote no confidence of this new incoming president. The insidiousness of what we're watching We'll have to, let's use the month of December and get through the holidays and enjoy the holidays and come back in 23 and say, okay, now we have a plan to stop this. Because right now, we're getting our asses handed to us, which is what is happening. And one more thing before we move on to the next story about the point of this story. Words have consequences, and the hate speech that we're watching at Tucker at 8 and Sean at 9 or vice versa and Laura at 10 and what we're watching in Radical Right have consequences. It's ringing a bell. It's blowing a dog whistle to give a whole cadre of people permission to walk into places like Club Q, which is what the point is that's being made here. You can't marginalize and use your words as poorly as you're using your words and not expect consequences. We're going to see studies in 21 and 22 and 23 and 24 of showing the bell curve of what's happened with the language that we're watching in America. But unfortunately, many, many people are going to die before we come to that conclusion and we change it.
With headlines Queer Up South Florida and Florida. Code Red Gala presented by the Rapha Center. The Rapha Center is a community-based HIV/AIDS prevention and intervention agency that has adopted a holistic approach to the services offered to disadvantaged populations of men and women who are infected or affected by HIV. The services provided are streamlined to address not just the physical impact of the disease, but also the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of the disease. The Code Red Gala is a spectacular event that acknowledges individuals in the Tri-County area that have had major contributions to the LGBTQIA community and assisted in ending HIV in South Florida. This year's Code Red Gala will be held on December 3rd with the theme Unmasking the Truth of HIV. The event venue will be Sports of Kings on South Federal Highway. Those VIP entrants can join the event at 5:45 p.m. and the general entrance will be open at 6:45 p.m. Ticket for general admission is available at $135, including an open bar, plated dinner, and live entertainment. VIP admission starts at prices as low as $165. You can also book a VIP table for 10 guests for $1,500. VIP admission includes a cocktail hour, open bar, elevated plated dinner, gift bag, and live entertainment. Tickets are available on the official website of Rapha Center. All the attendees are expected to wear masquerade masks. This is Rapha Center's 4th annual event, and its popularity is among the LGBTQ community is amazing. Wow, sounds like a fantastic event. I've never been, but
I can't imagine anybody that wants to wear a mask more than you.
Oh, wow.
You want me to wear a mask here?
No, I meant that in a good way. It wasn't a read. Oh, wait, maybe that wasn't there.
Well, being that this is National Giving Day, the Rapha Center is one agency that might benefit from your generosity.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing event. I hope it's successful for them.
Yeah, I'm happy one of our Queer News anchors is being honored, John Buckley. So congratulations. And Jasmine McKenzie from the McKenzie Project, who has been here and been a guest before as well. So I think it'll be a great event. And it's in lovely Hallandale, Florida.
Oh,
cool.
That was a personal plug for
the southern part of Broward County.
I was waiting for you to say it. Right, exactly.
The greater Hollywood area, as we like to call it.
Right. We wish them all the success. And of course, an HIV-focused awareness gala, I think, is absolutely wonderful. Well, let's move on and queer up the big interview. Dr. Anthony Fauci discusses Care Resource World AIDS Day and Smart Ride. Queer News Tonight is excited to bring a very special World AIDS Day memorial event at the brand new Care Resource headquarters on Miami's magnificent Biscayne Bay with views of Biscayne Boulevard with views of Biscayne Bay. Have you ever heard of it, Biscayne Bay? You probably have. The broadcast will include the AIDS HIV news of the day, including the December 1 commemoration that will inaugurate the first ever rooftop event space atop one of South Florida's most important AIDS HIV community service providers. After all, in 1985, the first ever American and worldwide white party in Miami entered an age of LGBTQ plus entertainment for a cause that became a model for AIDS and HIV fundraising for the entire world. To help celebrate this momentous occasion, the world's most famous medical professional and allied advocate of the LGBTQ plus community is the NIH's Dr. Anthony Fauci. I sat down in America's only television interview with a person who helped identify what would later become known as AIDS in 1981. He was the architect of PEPFAR that is credited for saving more than 20 million people around the world. This month, Dr. Fauci will retire after 54 years with a career that started with AIDS in the 1980s to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and all the way through to today and his retirement at NIH. In this exclusive interview, we talk about his last World AIDS Day and much more. I asked Dr. Fauci about the recently completed local AIDS HIV fundraising event that I attended, the Smart Ride, which raised more than $1 million, doing a 165-mile bike ride from the University of Miami to Key West. I also asked him about the importance of local service providers like Care Resource in contrasting that to federal agencies. Here is some of what he said.
I just think we've got to keep the momentum alive, both from a federal government supporting HIV and AIDS research. There's a lot we have to do. We've come a very, very long way with long-acting antivirals for prevention and for treatment. We still need a vaccine. We still need a cure. I think it's really important to keep the attention and the momentum going. And fundraising efforts on the part of the community is absolutely critical. It's good because in and of itself it's good, but it also puts attention to the fact that we still have a ways to go, because we don't want the federal funding to diminish. We want that to keep up and in fact increase proportionately to the increases in other areas of diseases.
We also had an opportunity to talk about World AIDS Day, the annual event that started early in the epidemic, first observed in 1988. Dr. Fauci talked about the continued importance of World AIDS Day visibility.
Well, the answer is very similar to what I said about the importance of fundraising. It just keeps the attention on this. HIV is not over, period. Remember now, we still have in this country a significant number of new infections, 36,000 new infections a year. We still have situation where we don't have access to life-saving therapy to many people in different parts of our country. We have underserved groups. We have underutilized PrEP. Now that we have PrEP that can be given in an injection every couple of months and hopefully soon every 6 months, we can't just say it's over. It's not over. It's not over in the United States and it's not over globally. True, we've done very, very well. I mean, the whole idea of undetectable equals untransmissible is a huge, huge positive issue that's occurred. Pre-exposure prophylaxis, now that we can do it in such a user-friendly way, is huge. But it's not the end of the game. The end of the game is EHE, ending the HIV epidemic.
I asked the infectious disease director for President Biden what the future of AIDS HIV was going to be like for America.
The end of the game is EHE, ending the HIV epidemic, which we really want to do by 2030, and we got to get back on track to get that done. Remember, that was getting 75% decrease in the incidences of infection by 5 years in, and 90% decrease 10 years in. We started it in 2020. We're behind pace for 2030.
This interview was planned through strict White House guidelines for just 10 minutes. Dr. Fauci gave the LGBTQ plus community his only television interview and it was 30 minutes. He discussed his relationship with ACT UP founder Larry Kramer and Kramer's claim that Fauci was a murderer. We discussed his days in the White House and his reaction to the daily White House briefings that we all watched every day, including Trump tweeting #FireFauci right in the height of the pandemic response. We brought it close to South Florida's home as we discussed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and how he used Free Florida as a reference to Fauci for his midterm election win. And DeSantis selling merchandise, especially a beer koozie with "Don't Fauci My Florida" as the emblem. Fauci's response was epic. Above all, he makes his final comments directly to the LGBTQ plus community, saying how the American gay community saved millions of lives around the world from AIDS, and that he thinks the LGBTQ plus cohort, as he called us, the most, quote, the most spectacular in history, talking about the LGBTQ community. His final comments are breathtaking, and stay tuned for the full interview. We invite you to join us on December 1st on World AIDS Day at Care Resource Miami and their new rooftop event space for an incredible and moving commemoration to the 750,000 Americans and 41 million people worldwide who have died of AIDS HIV and the millions more that live with HIV. Attend in person, or you can watch the entire event on Queer News Tonight on Roku, Apple TV, and other streaming platforms. It was an amazing interview. I'm thrilled. And when you see it, you're just, his respect for LGBTQ community is almost, in my entire life, probably one of the greatest respect moments I've ever heard anyone that is an ally of community express about LGBT and what he has watched in the last 50 plus years about LGBT. And this is the consummate expert on this planet, starting in AIDS and finishing in COVID-19 and finishing with the likes of Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. It's amazing history. And with so many people fighting, remember, these are his last days in retirement. We worked on this interview 5 months ago. And he said, nope, right before World AIDS Day, I'll do it. And you get 10 minutes. And he turned out to give us so much more, which is more respect for our LGBTQ community.
For sure.
World AIDS Day, Fauci, what do y'all think?
I mean, I don't think it's an understatement for the LGBTQ plus community that he's a hero to our community. I think during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was such unnecessary criticism, even from our own community, for his work. And science is not a exact product, and it goes through changes,
evolves,
and the ignorance of our governor and the ignorance of people that are buying a beer koozie are not people that are going to solve the AIDS and HIV epidemic. So I'm happy to honor him and very proud of him being part of this interview.
Just topically, because you pointed out, I want to go back to the Kramer conversation. Kramer wrote on the cover of the San Francisco Examiner that Fauci and his decision-making policies at NIH was a murderer and he was killing gay men, wrote that. And in all of the fights, Fauci talks about the fights that he had with Kramer and other leading ACT UP and other advocates at the time, and then talks about how Kramer and he grew to love each other and embraced each other. And he would constantly call Kramer out that he would do an interview he did an interview on CNN early in the days of CNN and just destroyed Fauci. And Fauci would say afterwards, Larry, why would you say this and that? Well, because I needed to create attention for what was going on. Right. But that's marketing. That's not you and I. And it was it was a super interesting glimpse behind the scenes that the two were complete adversaries over AIDS, but they were complete loving friends with each other. It was just amazing.
Well, it speaks to Fauci's resilience that he not only survived Kramer, but he also survived Trump.
Yeah,
so,
and it was good training,
right,
wasn't it?
exactly. So he earned this retirement.
I think that they were, in their own way, working together. I mean, those days, many of us remember those days. We had to yell and scream in the street, and you had to get on the news somehow. Somehow you were only going to get 5 seconds, 10 seconds on the evening news. If they could act up, if they could show us running down the street in Manhattan for 10 seconds, we knew that got beamed, and people knew that there was something happening because the president wouldn't say the word AIDS. We couldn't get federal funding. There was a lot of stuff going on. I remember those days. I remember helping to write a paper for the World Health Organization, and Dr. Fauci and all the top infectious disease doctors coming to Manhattan. Everybody presented on the Intrepid, and they put us on the Intrepid off the island of Manhattan because they didn't know if people were going to try to kill us for doing something. There's so many things happening today that I'm like, I lived through this once. Why are we redoing this?
To your point, he recalls a conversation with Kramer where, and I believe it was President Bush, first Bush, that he was talking about, that he needed to get more attention from President Bush. And what he should do to get attention, Kramer recommended to Fauci that he chain himself to the fence at the White House to be able to speak to President Bush. And Fauci's response to Kramer was, President Bush is a friend of mine. All I have to do is call him. Why would I chain myself to the fence? This is the kind of interaction going on with the founder of ACT UP.
I love that. I didn't know that.
It was just
that's so nice to hear. I'm so glad that they could call each other and have conversations and discuss and not become enemies.
We're going to show you a lot more at the World AIDS broadcast of Queer News tonight.
Everyone come.
Paul is going to be an anchor for it. Lots of special surprises.
Be speaking.
And come to the event. Come to Care Resources event. It's in Miami. Did you know that it's in Miami?
In Miami on the rooftop.
That's south of here, right?
Just south of here. Across the border. Don't miss it. It's going to be World AIDS Day is super important for all of us, and we have a lot to celebrate here at the end of the year.
Thank God.
Yeah. Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday international service at 10:30 a.m. with more than 30,000 watching every week.
Kiara Johnson, the Executive Director of the National LGBTQ Task Force. And as one of the most important civil rights organizations, I know the value of the support that comes from all corners of our community. That's why Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Paul Thomas, Jeff Oliverio, Dan Rios, and Gregg Shapiro. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. But before we end our show, we have one final story.
Now let's queer up the big interview. New directors of the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida discuss expansion and what's to come. Big news happened this week when the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida and the Fort Lauderdale Gay Men's Chorus announced that they would merge to become one of the world's largest LGBTQ plus music performance organizations, with the internationally renowned Christmas concert coming on December 18th at the world-class Hard Rock Live. This will be the first concert of its kind to return to South Florida since COVID-19 pandemic began in 2020. The combined chorus is the oldest LGBTQ performing arts organization in Florida and has more than 170 voices. Tonight, you will learn more about this special time of the year, this incredible concert, including 2022 Broadway Tony nominee Shoshana Bean, and why a gay chorus is so important for dignity, diversity, and pride.
Queer News Tonight has previously announced the merger of the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida and the original Fort Lauderdale Gay Men's Chorus. This newly merged group, which will continue under the brand of the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, has become one of the largest gay men's chorus groups in the entire world. The Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is an artistic force dedicated to social change. Their membership and organization are diverse, intergenerational, and multicultural, with upcoming events like Holidays at Sunshine Cathedral on December 16th, and then December 18th, celebrate the holidays with GMCSF at Hard Rock Live. Yeah, I said Hard Rock Live, with Broadway's 2022 Tony Award nominee, Shoshana Bean. They offer performances that are driven to open minds and change hearts. Tonight, we are excited to be joined by three members of the chorus. First is Edward Otto Zelke. He is the Director of Marketing and Sponsorship for the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. And prior to his position, he was the Marketing and Operations Manager, of course, we all know, from the Grand Resort and Spa, bringing global branding attention to the Grand by sponsoring this little show at World of Wonder, the Emmy Award-winning RuPaul's Drag Race for 6 seasons. I have a little experience with that myself.
I think you do.
We also have two newly elected members of the board for the chorus. First is Eric Eldridge. He is Senior Event and Community Leadership Professional, a community leadership professional who has been working for Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood for the last 12 years, a favorite hotel of mine. In addition, he has served on the board of several charitable organizations, including Diversity Honors, the Gay and Lesbian Business Exchange, and Deliver the Dream. Also joining us tonight is Johnny Mejia, and he is an experienced banker. You're a banker, with a passion for inclusion and development and a love of working in the financial services industry. He is a branch and business banking center manager and vice president of inclusion, we love that word, and development, a champion at PNC Bank, Broward, Southeast Florida. Welcome, gentlemen, to Queer News Tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Well, the news about the chorus has been super exciting. A lot of people don't realize South Florida has been really lucky. We have had, where many communities don't have a gay chorus, most cities have a single gay men's chorus. We have had 3 choruses here in South Florida, in Broward and Dade County, and the big news in these last couple of weeks about the merger of Fort Lauderdale and Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida into the South Florida branding. That must have been exciting news for all of you.
I think it was something that, as someone new to the organization, it was something that I had hoped that would come very soon. I have a partner who's in the chorus himself, and so I was a little bit aware of some of the politics and some of the things that were going on.
Wait, politics and gay?
Well,
that would never
shocking.
You have it anywhere, so. Right. But and I knew that this was a moment where I thought we could really make a good impact if we start, combining resources. And I think that's really what it's about. And I think we're going to leverage each other and other experiences. And I think it's just going to do really well for the organization as a whole.
Yeah, and the course under the branding of the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, combined with the previous Fort Lauderdale Gay Men's Chorus. Years ago, there was some separation, blah blah blah, and blah blah blah. But they're reuniting under the single branding, makes it the oldest LGBT musical group in the state of Florida, and also one of the largest choruses, gay men's chorus. In the world, I understand like around 170 voices.
I think the latest is about 170.
Yeah, that's
on the roster. Yep.
Quite amazing. And you two joined your brand new board members. I was excited to be able to talk to you because it allows us to talk about why a chorus is important, a gay men's chorus is important, not only in the LGBTQ community, but the community at large. It's a different way to represent pride in our community. Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to get involved on the board. And
I think for me, there's a few reasons. I've been working with a chorus for about 7 years now. I work with Seminole Hard Rock. We host a concert every year at Hard Rock Live. I've been more and more involved, obviously, with helping plan the concert and then seeing the reach that the chorus has and the community that it offers the members and the give back, whether that's volunteer at Wicked Manners or volunteer at World AIDS Day or whatever that is, the volunteer. I just thought it was important to lend my support and help what I could do in the community.
Mm-hmm. And you have banking experience. Now, I'm curious, do any of y'all sing? Are you front of house or are you back of house?
Yeah, I think I'm thinking more, back of house, but karaoke maybe,
I karaoke too, but that's not.
But that's not singing. That's not singing. When I was younger, I did, and I think, that's, what kind of resonated with me. I am a banker by trade. That's my day job. I wear my banker hat, provide financial solutions. But the other part of what I do that is very important to me is reaching out to often like underserved parts of the community. And PNC actually has supported the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida for multiple years now. And that's kind of how I got to learn of them. And just like we're talking about the merger of the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida coming together with the Fort Lauderdale Gay Men's Chorus. To me, it's like a coming together of community. It's a coming together of voices, and I think now more than ever, it's important that we combine our voices and that it resonates throughout the communities we serve. And much like Eric said, whether it be supporting as a donor, as a contributor, helping behind the scenes, helping with the production. This is something that spoke to me.
You opened a door for me that I want to walk through, and that's politics. Choruses, gay men's choruses in the United States were an outcropping from the Stonewall riots in 1969, and it was a way that gay men could get together and show pride in community in a completely different way. You could pick up a brick, you could have a pride parade, you could be in a chorus, but they were all really very similar in terms of what their goals were. And we're 53, 54 years now post Stonewall, and in South Florida we have the Miami Gay Men's Chorus, and now we have the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. And you talk about the unity. It's interesting to me in 2022, with all of the politics that we have faced this year, especially in Florida, politically and attacks and don't say gay in our community, that the two principal gay men's voices, musical voices in South Florida would say, okay, let's come together. Don't you think that that's interesting that the timing and the representation of this year is what it is?
Yeah, I think it's really important to show community, to show the unity that the community can offer, and it's not marginalized, and it's showing face and a force out there to be reckoned with, and showing a different size of the community, letting people see that it's maybe not all gay pride, and bringing a different group together that comes to the concert. For example, when you see the audience at the concert, it's not an audience that would go to a gay pride, or they might not be at another gay event, and they're seeing the community in a different light.
And it's funny because they do talk about, and they talk about oftentimes community, I mean, the universe conspiring against us. In this case, I think the universe kind of, spoke to us and came to us and said, hey, it's important for this to happen now. I would have loved, say, at a young age, to be sitting in an audience and see a group of diverse men, intergenerational men, Hispanics, African American, just this representation, and to have a voice. I mean, my name is Johnny Mejia, my middle name is Johnny Ray, raised in the South. I think having a voice, so as much progress as we have made as a community, there's always that underlying threat, and just, and it's more vocal than ever. And I think in my opinion, there's nothing more powerful than voices coming together to speak to us in a very human way, and to connect in a very human way.
That is so crystal clear to me, and you open a door that is always fundamental for me in terms of inclusion and diversity, including our own community. Sometimes at Wilton Drive, we have some problems with diversity in our own community. You talk about what your reaction to the chorus would be if you were a young man in seeing that. Choruses broached out of the 1970s, started and started to become representation as a pride organization, a men's chorus. I am not a face that represents the youth of the LGBTQ community, so this is a great opportunity for me to ask about what the plans are for the chorus in terms of what the next 50 years are going to be. We've crossed that 50-year threshold. We want to make our community and a choral group of men and the diversity of that more inclusive in our community. Where are we in terms of younger faces, younger voices? How do we reach out in the community?
We're definitely taking it to the next level when we're reaching out to different diverse communities. We've just introduced our first female into the chorus. And also before that, we had our first transgender enter into the chorus too. So we're becoming diverse, as more of an acceptance of all people that could, sing the parts of tenor and bass. So as long as you can sing those type of voice parts, then you can possibly be a part of the chorus. You have to pass the audition and stuff. But we look within our own community, and then we start tapping into the younger people that are joining. We're always looking for different ways to find them. We're also looking at developing events around the youth. We're possibly looking at having some sort of a tea dance. So that might attract, the younger generation.
Edward, I also read that the chorus is interested in the development of a youth program. I don't know much about it, but tell me a little bit about what's going on there.
So we're looking to develop the Youth Pride Chorus here in South Florida. It's something that we've been had a little bit of a challenge trying to start up. Obviously, with all of what's going on in our state, I think it's kind of we've had to kind of change our thinking and our approach about it. So we've hired 2 young men that are spearheading this for us, and they're a welcome addition to
Is it public and community? Is it going to schools? How does it work?
So that's what that's where on the ground level trying to figure out. Right now, we've been trying to reach into the school systems. Haven't had much luck. We've tried to reach out, to the community, through social media, through the press. I just think we just have to keep pursuing, it in different forms at this point.
2022 is a tough year to try to do that, and I have to wink and nod to the chorus. You have lots of messaging of "We Sing Gay." It's very clear what you're saying there. So it's an issue where you continue to fight the fight.
Singing is a protest in a way. That's what we're using our voices for. We're delivering a message, and whatever that message is at the current time, then that's what we want to deliver.
Yeah.
So taking on the We Sing Gay for our season, we touch a little bit on each of the concerts. The elements of what we feel that means to us.
Yeah. And to that point, I have to come back to June and June Pride Month. Hotspots, Happening Out Television puts on Stonewall Pride. Came to the Stonewall concert that you did. 2 acts. That first act was clearly we are about musical protest. It was so moving of how all of these men come together and memorialize the gay movement in America.
It was such a great concert because, you know, the focus itself was, people that you may not have heard about in the LGBTQ plus community, and celebrating them for what they brought to the table for us that came, before the Stonewall riots, before any of that. So it was a good history lesson.
It was an amazing concert. And speaking of amazing concerts, let's talk about Christmas.
Yeah.
Biggest concert of the year. You're going to do Friday, December 16th at Sunshine Cathedral, as everyone knows. Happening Out Television Network, Hotspots' television studio is here on the campus at Sunshine Cathedral. You'll be broadcasting, or you'll be broadcast also because we're going to record. But you're going to do Friday night at Sunshine, and then Sunday you're going to be in Hard Rock Live. Now, you work at Hard Rock. Tell us a little bit about how that partnership developed.
Well, this will be our 7th concert, or 6th concert.
Sixth.
Time flies. I can't keep up. We met with the chorus 6 or 7 years ago. We skipped COVID, obviously. And it was just instant. It just made sense. Hard Rock is a music brand. The chorus puts on unbelievable concerts, and the production value, and it just fell into place. Hard Rock Live is a perfect venue. One of the newest, most technologically advanced venues in the country right now. The chorus gets to put on an amazing production. We have a great Broadway Sean Bean performing this year, so it's just a great way to celebrate the holidays.
Just nominated for, she was nominated for a Tony this season, and just nominated for a Grammy. So she's going to be incorporated into the concert. Tell me a bit about the Hard Rock. It must be overwhelming for not really technically a professional music organization. It's a volunteer gay men's chorus. To be in a venue like the Hard Rock Live, describe what that experience.
Well, I can tell you from the Hard Rock side is the chorus gets the same production that any other concert does. Whether that's Billy Joel that's coming or Bruce Springsteen, the Gay Men's Chorus gets the same production team, the same lighting team, so the production value is top of the line.
I was just there for the Latin Music Awards. I forgot the name of the event, and it's a spectacular venue. It's state of the art, and Hard Rock is just the Seminole Hard Rock. It's just an amazing facility, and it's breathtaking to me, even in this conversation, to say Billy Joel and the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida in the same sentence, in the same venue. That's really, really quite incredible for around the country. I understand GALA is an organization of choruses all over the world. There are about 200 choruses like Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. I can't imagine very many choruses saying, oh yeah, our concert's in a venue like the Hard Rock Live. That must be...
I would think maybe the top 5 maybe, and I can include us in as the top 5, but not many get that opportunity. And as somebody that was in the audience a lot for these Hard Rock shows, and before I became a staff member, it is spectacular, and it is a full production, and just to sit in that audience and watch it was such a pleasure. And so I'm looking forward to my first Hard Rock experience, just being as a staff member and just getting to watch the audience and their reaction, because that's the most thrilling part for me, is that when we capture their reaction in a particular moment, it's priceless.
Yeah, and who doesn't like Christmas music? And you put all of these things together, and you really create a moment. More intimate at Sunshine on Friday night. over the top spectacular with Shoshana Bean.
It's two different audiences, because you have the people that like that traditional, choral singing, and they like that setting of Sunshine Cathedral and what it has to offer, and that's something that we've done since the beginning of our group in 2010. So we still have an audience for it. In fact, I think we're just about sold out now for that concert. So
that's also beautiful to say we can have a concert on Friday and on Sunday. There is an audience for that. Just the magnitude of just having a partner like, Hard Rock and Hard Rock Live in that venue, just that is something that we as a community and as a board, we don't take that for granted either.
Yeah, it's something, frankly, from my seat outside the fishbowl, it's something the entire LGBTQ community in South Florida can be proud of, because we are not, and so often we talk about being marginalized. This is a perfect example and representation of how we are not marginalized. We are leading community, and that's what these Christmas concerts for the South Florida Chorus represents. I cannot not mention Gabe Salazar. The former director, long time, very well-known, nationally well-known director, to come in and fill his shoes. Oh my goodness, how difficult could that have been? Gabe Salazar, we're showing a picture of him right now. He comes in, and I understand just shortly, he's going to have the ultimate honor. Faye, just won top television personality in South Florida, and he's going to get in bed with an interview with Faye Watt. So
he's looking forward to it.
I just think it is absolutely fantastic.
That wasn't something I didn't have to twist his arm with.
Yeah,
if you want to get in bed with Faye, he was like, yeah,
let's do that. Right. Tell us a little bit about your reaction, new to the board, about having somebody like Gabe Salazar.
I know from my perspective, Gabe has just been wonderful to watch. If you watch him when he's coaching the gentlemen while they're singing, or the way he's up there when he's performing. Gabe, he's been professional. He's taken the chorus to a new level. He's really just been amazing, I think, for the chorus and the community as a whole.
Yeah, and do you have any good, juicy gossip about Gabe?
No, I just, he likes to wear boots like I do. He's from Texas as well, so we do have that in common. And I think, much like what Eric said, is that, the love that he has for the craft and the art of it all it's evident. And I think, he's one of those that also, he's connected with all the members of the choir. So again, just very exciting to see just, as phenomenal as the choir has been to date, just, as we're going into like season 13 of We Sing Gay, having somebody like Gabe is very, very important in this next chapter, and
diversity representation.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many touch points that.
What's so wonderful about Gabe too is that, obviously he's professional and he's talented and all that stuff, but he's also a human being. And I get to witness that, when his son comes to visit. And how well he interacts with his own son. It's just, it just speaks to his character, and just as a human being, and how he teaches, his son, the correct, way to speak to people and the mannerism. And I'll tell you, he's a hoot, that kid.
I have to say, the opportunity, somebody wants to get involved with the course. How do they go about doing that?
So on our website, you just go to gmcsf.org, and you'll go to our audition tab, and there is a fill out form where you just fill out the registration. We do have 3 auditions coming up in December and January, so look on our website for that. And just fill out the form, and then someone on the membership team would reach out to you and get in contact.
But there is options if you don't want to sing. If you're not a singer, there is options to volunteer, whether that's helping with the production of a concert, setting up a concert, buy a ticket, come support the concert, watch a show. There's many options. If you're not a singer, you can still be involved. There's plenty of opportunities.
We are always looking for volunteers.
Yeah, always. And at the end of the day, we're gay after all. Of course, we like to socialize.
Yes.
So getting together and making a social opportunity is great. Last thing that I want to take a moment to discuss is we went through a pandemic. What's exciting about this is, of course, 20 hit us right in the gut. 21, we kind of wobbled back onto our feet, but we haven't had a concert at Hard Rock since 2019. It's returning. We're excited about the return, but let us not forget that we've gone through 2 years of dramatic effect of our nonprofit organizations, of which Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is. How now that the chorus is up and running and steaming along now, triumphant return to Hard Rock Live on December 18th, how do we help the chorus? I'm not singing, I'm not volunteering, but here's what I can do for the chorus. What is that? Tell us what we should do.
I think you should spread the word. You know, it's very easy to find out what's going on with us. We have a calendar of events on our website. We have a very active social media. So even if you can't attend the concert, you can, you know, share it with your friends. There's donating. We have a donating system, you know, to the organization.
Sponsorship. There's plenty of sponsorship opportunities, concerts, getting your brand in front of thousands of people at a concert.
And again, for those people that have gone to, you know, the concerts in the past, you know, bring a guest. And because I think, like I said, in this, as you've seen, you know, with Fred coming on, and you know, when Fred reached out to me to talk to me about the opportunity.
Fred's the president of the board.
Yeah. You know, Fred, you know, joining the board. I think, you know, for me, it was something that spoke to me in. Because one of the first things, again, I did ask him was like, talk to me about the voices and who those voices represent. And I think, you know, for me, seeing was believing. So going to the rehearsals, going to the concerts, bringing friends, you know, bringing other members of the community, and then that's how you can support is show up. Just whether it be allyship, you know, whether you're part of the LGBTQ community or not, show up. And be present and stay engaged and stay informed.
Well, you hear the challenge. Show up and support our LGBTQ community. We have 2 great men's and LGBT choruses in South Florida, the Miami Gay Men's Chorus, and you're hearing about this incredible Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, one of the largest in the world with this new merger. And you do not want to miss December 16th at Sunshine Cathedral, their Christmas concert, and December 18th for sure in the Hard Rock Live with Shoshana Bean. It's going to be an outstanding opportunity, whichever way you would like to experience the holidays with a lot of gay men. It's very exciting. Thank you very much, Edward, Eric, Johnny, for being with us. It helps us understand why our community is important. And the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida represents that to a T.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Absolutely.
Thank you for being with Queer News Tonight. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.